July 4th this week, and with July 4th in Philadelphia, it seems like, as per tradition, a lot of violence in the new Philadelphia. Across the river, a Camden commissioner has something to say about Philadelphia's violence that we'll get into a little bit. And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of Krasner cuts that we're going to dissect today. That's all this week on KRASNERLAND. Welcome in, everybody, to the KRASNERLAND aspect of the Dom Giordano program. My name is Dan Borowski, the producer of the Dom Giordano program, with the aforementioned now 2 times Dom Giordano here with me. Dom, how you doing today, sir?
Very good. Ready to go and play some golf after KRASNERLAND here.
How hot is it outside? I haven't been out yet.
It's about 90.
Oh, God. Humid?
It's not as humid as it has been. You know, when I get a parking space every day, the weather suddenly is better.
Right, it's beautiful. So, Dom, A lot has happened this past week. There was a mass shooting over the weekend. Absolutely terrible incident with 10 people injured, couple dead, with an individual who seemingly identifies as transgender. If you look at the Facebook pictures, it's pretty clear. But also some posts that signify pro-Trump, but also pro-Black Lives Matter. So first off, Dom, I just want you to try to put your finger on identifying what is this person exactly, and do you have any idea as to what the motive might be behind something like this?
I think, first of all, it struck me with the bulletproof vests and walking around. It wasn't a drive-by. It wasn't drug-related. It wasn't any of these petty fights that result in this. It was a massacre, Dan, of somebody really mentally deranged, not the usual squabbles. And we don't know how much the transgender, transvestite stuff plays into this, if forever. But you notice my big criticism this week has been the media saying, here's what we know. And then they don't tell you what you and I and what talk radio have been talking about the transvestite, transgender. What kind of role did that play into it as far as anger over some slight maybe? Or was it maybe some kind of situation that we still don't know the manifesto of the Nashville shooter? And people are getting sick and tired of this. We even had a guy at the Krasner event, Asa Khalif, who I know and get along with, lecture that talking about this, we were wrong. Well, the Krasner people are the persons that are calling this individual they, them. Yeah. And this is the mugshot shown, not the mugshot that we see out there in social media that's accurate, of this guy dressed in women's clothing.
Yep. So, Dom, I want to take you to that event. So after this happened, Krasner got together with some clergy and had an event at a local church. I want to play back some clips from this. First off, here's a sister of one of the victims, and this just kind of tells the story as to how scary it is sometimes living in Philadelphia. This happened in the concession section of the city. Take a watch.
Accused killer.
Shot yourself, Jasmine. Just try to calm down. I know it's hard. We know. Nothing but anger. It's nothing but anger. I'm sorry. You killed the wrong person.
The gathering in the church was called by DA Larry Krasner, whose prosecutors say a search of accused killer Kim Brady Carricker's home turned up live rounds of ammunition matching the weapon he's alleged to have used in the slaughter, killing 5. Along with a handgun, they found a will written on June 23rd, but would not speak on its contents. They did say the 40-year-old's housemates believe he was unraveling in the days before the shooting.
I believe they thought he was getting more and more agitated as the days were passing. And their way of dealing with it was just to avoid it and not interfere with him, even though they all lived in the same house.
So very somber tone at that event, Dom, but a horribly sad situation. I mean, where does this person kind of get the extremist ideology to commit some kind of crime like this? I guess that's what's behind it, right?
Yeah. And again, figuring out a motive when we see these sorts of shootings, Dan, is very, very difficult to do. Again, it would take a lot. The people that are in the house, he's walking around with guns, threatening and going back and forth to say something. That's the thing I always seize on every time with these people. It wasn't all of a sudden. They were building toward this. They were giving signs of it, and nobody wants to say anything about it. So, And Krasner again in the church, making all these people stand up there and all. It's just remarkable.
Not only making them stand up there, Dom, but this right here really, I mean, the guy holds this event and then is cracking jokes at it. Take a watch.
That was really concise for clergy. I'm very, very impressed. And thank you for that.
Just it's further proof that the guy just doesn't seem to want to take his job seriously at all.
Yeah. And of course, then the obligatory, usually Kenny goes first. I think he might have, attacking the people of Oaks. We had that this week.
Yep, just 1 second. Yep.
Whole thing. And then Krasner seems to jump in and tag in the two of them together, deflecting blame. We also have Louis Capelli Jr., the head of the commissioners over in Camden County, who'll be on the show tomorrow. I think you have a clip of him shaming and calling out Philadelphia because of his shooting over there, and saying we're tired of Philadelphia and the lawlessness here. Dan, any reasonable mayor, police commissioner, and DA would have gone toe-to-toe with this guy. But what can they say? He's right.
Yeah, so first off, here's Asa Khalif at that Krasner event, Dom.
Yeah.
I want to set the record straight because language is extremely important when we're talking about anything dealing with violence in trans community. The suspect or the shooter has not identified themselves as trans. They have only identified themselves as male. And that's the language that will be used until further developments. Can we stop?
Krasner's office was the first to use they, them. Not me, not talk radio, Krasner. Yeah.
Yep. So as you said, Dom, Kenny was the first to do it, but I mean, the namesake of the program is KRASNERLAND. So Krasner immediately jumps into action, Dom, and starts blaming the guns. Take a watch.
It is disgusting, the lack of proper gun legislation that we have in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I cannot agree more heartily with the mayor. It is disgusting that you can go to New Jersey and find a whole list of reasonable gun regulation that we don't have, that you can go to Delaware and there's almost as long a list of reasonable gun legislation that we don't have. Some of that legislation might have made a difference here. And it is time.
Name it what it would have made a difference.
For everybody in our legislature, including the ones who would like to walk around with an AR-15 lapel pin. It is time for every one of them to face the voters. And if they're not going to do something, then the voters are going to have to vote them out. Because that's what that lapel pin means. It means vote me out. I am against you, and I'm against your safety. And a lot of us have had enough of it. I can tell you I certainly have had enough of it.
Larry's been obsessed with that lapel pin, Dom.
I've thought about it 1,000 times. If we ever go toe-to-toe on something like this, I'm going to go right after the fact that publicly he said it again and again and again. A felon caught with a gun is not what we have to do to get out of this. Somehow or another, it's banning guns. We all know what was effective in New York. Laws, if you're caught with a gun, you're a felon, you're not allowed to have a gun, you're going to go to jail automatically for 10 years. That dissuades a lot of people from getting. Now, situations like this, a guy crazy like this, in this kind of situation, even though he has a criminal record, not every case comes under every umbrella. But that's the number one thing where even Danielle Outlaw went haltingly against Krasner. And he says it publicly and yet rails about guns. He won't put these people away.
And yeah, he appeared on CNN just soon after that to continue on.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask, you mentioned that you view the NRA makes it very difficult to investigate and prosecute some of these cases. I think at points you have been criticized for both your decisions on prosecutorial discretion, but also I think from a numbers perspective, the convictions on illegal gun cases haven't necessarily been where I think even you said you would want them to be, which there are a lot of different elements that go into that. What's your view on those who say that to some degree your office needs to be doing more when it comes to illegal gun purchases, to bringing cases on both violent and non-violent?
Here comes the deflection, Dom.
Look at the face. He did the glasses.
Our conviction rate at trial on shooting cases.
Gun cases.
Our conviction rate at trial on shooting cases is extremely high. It's nearly 90%. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about shootings. We're not talking about whether or not the search for a gun gets suppressed because of illegal police conduct, or a case gets thrown out because witnesses don't show up. That's a gun possession case. This man.
Now, I want to stop it right there, Dom. Make the point that you're making there. He's making it about cops again, right?
Yeah. He's speaking about cops again, but also this Mattingly guy gives him a broad thing. Well, people say it's your discretion, rather than what I get. Read the direct quote that he's not, and go down that path. And if he says, look, you're going down another path, go back to it again. I'd go back to it 4 or 5 times in the interview. It's shocking that a guy this driven to go after guns will not put away the person, the felon who can't have a gun for what's on the books for the law, which would go a long way to stopping a good bit of this.
This person, Mr. Carricker, had a gun conviction, and it obviously didn't stop this. He had a gun conviction back in 2003, and yet here we are looking at 5 people dead as a result of a mass shooting rampage where he was well armed and had another firearm back at his residence. So, what we are up against here is people who would like to deflect. They would like to talk about other things.
It's exactly what you're doing right now, Larry.
Extremely focused on gun violence, extremely successful in the prosecution of gun violence. We will vigorously prosecute this case.
Are there
people throwing out that criticism should show you their record
like you do
on the votes that they put down or the votes they supported in relation to gun regulation. Pennsylvania's gun regulation is crap. It is crap. If you go to New Jersey, if you go to other states nearby, you go to Delaware, these states are safer, and they are states that have more reasonable gun regulation. It is time for a bunch of legislators who wear AR-15 lapel pins. It's time
there it is
for them to quit or to get voted out.
So Dom, I want to now go.
Tell us more, great man. Is there a challenge? Is there a stop there to say, wait a minute, I didn't ask you that, though, with all due respect. Let's go back to this.
Yeah, it's
that
the
guy's
same.
hemming and hawing. What is the power of this guy? The superpower is when he touches the glasses. If he takes them off to clean them before he answers, that's like Superman, on steroids.
It's his sign. It's his show that he's angry. Whenever he gets pressed, he has that here. I'll pull it back up here. It's the where are we at? There we go.
To some degree, your office needs to be doing more when it comes to illegal gun purchases, bringing cases on both violent.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're so right. So Dom, he keeps referencing the guys I love over there in Jersey. All those libs that have the gun things. And then you hear someone who is actually the guy over there in Jersey, Camden County Commissioner Luca Belli. Let's see what he has to say, or what he says about the situation.
He heads up, I believe, 37 municipalities. He'll be on at 1:00 tomorrow.
Watch what he had to say about straight up pretty much Krasner's policies.
Guns confiscated on the streets of Camden come from out of state, usually across the river in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. One of the suspects has a tie to Philadelphia. And we just want to send a clear message to the thugs and criminals and gun-bearing freaks over in Philadelphia.
I love the freaks. Just want to
live in a society of lawlessness. We don't want you here. Stay out of Camden. Stay out of Camden County. Stay out of New Jersey. Keep your barbaric behavior in Philadelphia. On this side of the river, we find you because we have outstanding men and women of our police department and our sheriff's department. And then we prosecute you and we put you in jail. That's what our prosecutor's office does. It's second to none. So to all you thugs and criminals in Philadelphia thinking that your lawlessness can be spread elsewhere, stay at home. Stay out of Camden County.
Wow. Some strong words there.
All right. In the universe, you have to be beyond shameless. And they are. Krasner, Kenny, Outlaw. When Camden is shaming you and saying a city that Dan was identified as the second many times or first most violent outlaw city in America years ago, Camden, is calling you out as lawless and calling the word freaks, which I loved in there. And no response from the Philadelphia Inquirer other than this Gilmore Richardson woman.
Yeah, council person.
I demand an apology. An apology for what?
Yeah, telling the truth. Making you look in the mirror and recognize maybe what we're doing here is pretty bad for the citizens of Philadelphia. I'm sorry that you have to be honest with yourself for once. Yeah, it's a horrible thing. And with this crap,
Belli, as you said, is a Democrat. It's a very Democrat area there. He and I, over the years when he's come on, and we're friendly, but we've jousted because he's more to the left. I wouldn't say he's a progressive. on this. For him to be going down, this is because they had a great fireworks thing. They turned Camden around. We believe that. You and I spoke to the new police commissioner, was excellent. Would be better in Philadelphia than anything we have. And a guy like that's calling you out because your thugs are going over there and they're tired of Camden. It was in Camden, about a block away from the fireworks thing, where there was a shooting, and I think somebody young got shot. And that's what propelled Lou Capelli to say, stop coming over the river. How does any human being be that shameless, Krasner, Kenny, Outlaw, that they can't respond, or do they know it's a joke if they do respond?
Yeah, and their lack of response, Dom, really contributes to what we now see as just an absolutely lawless society. Right. You know, stealing from the great Ronald Reagan, it's trickled down crime. You have people getting away with murders. They see people getting away with murders. They'll get away with, lesser crime than murders, and they get away with those. They'll get away with less, and people just start committing crimes on a daily basis and get away with it. It's really what's becoming a Philadelphia.
We had a guy that I got 2 shows out of, Josh Kruger, and he was polite enough on Twitter when I went back and forth with him on Twitter, who wrote a column saying that Wawa is a bad citizen in Philadelphia because they're moving their stores out of Center City, Philadelphia. Why don't they spend more money on security rather than blaming Krasner? A, they're afraid if their people do that, they'll either get hurt or worse, they're afraid Krasner will charge them with something because he doesn't want any shoplifting charges. You grab a guy and break his arm, let's say, because they're shoplifting in the scuffle, you're going to get charged.
Yeah, and I think it has an effect on the citizens themselves. Say you're driving like an asshole because you can get away with it in Philadelphia here, not get pulled over, and you run into somebody and you hit them. This is now, I think, the 2nd or 3rd time in a couple of days.
Police are investigating a deadly hit and run in North Philadelphia. This is a live look right now at the scene. You see a very active investigation at Broad in Somerset. This accident happened just before 4 o'clock this morning. Police telling us a 35-year-old woman was killed crossing the street. Once again, the vehicle did not stop. Police are searching for a white vehicle, possibly a Toyota with a black leather cover over the front end. Once again, this is Broad in Somerset, a hit and run accident claiming the life of a 35-year-old woman. We'll get a...
So you might say, Dan, what the hell are you doing blaming Krasner for a hit and run? But I got to say, if you fear that you have implications coming to you and say this is an accident, you're going to stop and pull over and,
right.
You're going to be worried about getting arrested and serving time because of this. So, but if you live in KRASNERLAND, go the hell right ahead, drive away. What's going to happen?
We don't even know if they had a license plate that anybody was able to see and or the fake tags that they have. And Dan, you know what? In this period of time, given Krasner and everything else, I can't advise a person. You see that walk, it's state law. You can walk there and the car has to stop. You can't do that in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. If it's a green light for you, you have to look both ways. I had to drive home on Broad Street because of the nonsense with the Welcome America party the other day. I couldn't go the drive. And I saw guys 3 times now. I'm in the left lane. They're getting to the left of me, which is the center between the 2 sides of Broad Street, where it has yellow lines, check, flying down and then jumping ahead of traffic. And in one case, even going through a red light and then doing it again in the next block. Yep,
it happens all the time up in the Northeast.
Yeah, there's not enough cops. And even if there were, they're not going to give chase. How in the world do you get in a habit of going up and down Broad Street, taking the center lane between the 2 divided north and south, and then jumping back over?
I hate to break it to you, but where you're living, this is... people have recognized that Philadelphia is legitimately the Wild West at this point. And right. They can do whatever the hell they want to do and get away with it because there are no repercussions. There are people getting away with much more serious things. So the idea is, hey, if they can get away with that, why don't I can drive?
It brings, to your point, usually younger and younger kids then are going to be doing stuff because it trickles down to them of what they see. It's not just 16-year-olds, it's 14-year-olds.
You seem to like that trickle-down crime.
Yeah, I do. I'll be using it probably by tomorrow. Dan Borowski never said that. Who's that guy?
I stole it. Some more. What is this?
Yeah.
ATM.
Yep, the chain.
Look at this guy.
Oh my God.
This is not happening. Not version of the 2023 Wild West.
Oh my God.
It hurts to laugh, but what else can you do at this point?
You know, that is one of the biggest signs when they started blowing them up during the George Floyd summer and all that. It's continued, but having the time to come in, put a chain on and get out of there, you know, it's amazing.
Here's another angle of the video. Look at the shiesties that they're wearing, the parkas.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't get the memo from SEPTA yet.
Or apparently not from the CDC either. That coronavirus is over.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, you guys can you can navigate freely, especially with the vaccine, supposedly. You're supposed to be okay, so you can take off that mask, guys. It's okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, these guys. All right, let's turn to one more thing, Dom. When good stuff's happening, we do like to highlight good stuff when it's happening, and some of our suburban neighbors have seen these negative effects of Larry Krasner is policing, and particularly the dirt bikes and the ATVs. Ben Salem, we had on the mayor of Ben Salem,
right,
to talk about a program that they've launched. And I actually found this. CBS 3 got an exclusive look, and we're able to get some video of what's been going on there in Ben Salem to address the ATV and dirt bike crisis that's growing because thanks to KRASNERLAND. Take a watch.
It's their play area.
Residents in Ben Salem say they've had enough after dirt bikes, quads, and ATVs have taken over their streets.
Sometimes one, sometimes they'll travel in a group. It varies.
The riders are known for stunting, speeding, and shutting down traffic, sometimes daily.
I worry about my children potentially and other children in the area getting hit by them because they disregard.
Neighbors say the behavior is more than just kids having fun.
They set the railroad ties on fire down there.
Many worried about speaking on camera.
They're targeting certain homes. They're doing wheelies. They're doing burnouts.
You have your seatbelt on?
I love the accent.
CBS News Philadelphia got an exclusive ride-along with the Special Operations Team from Ben Salem Police.
They're going to be down in here.
Who launched 3 weeks ago to stop the groups using cameras, aerial surveillance, and yes, even ATVs.
We needed to get back here. That's first and foremost.
Lieutenant Robert Bush took us into a private wooded area along the Neshaminy Falls train station off Bristol Road.
This is a hangout spot where they'll come back here on their quads and they'll drink and they'll smoke and just have parties.
Officials have already seized several illegal vehicles and issued citations to their owners, with neighbors helping to identify some of those wanted. Lieutenant Bush says while the problem may not have started here,
it's definitely bleeding out from Philly.
His message is clear.
There you go. There it is. There you go.
My advice is go someplace else to do it. Ben Salem don't want you here.
Alicia Roberts, CBS News, Philadelphia.
I was waiting for that.
They give all-terrain vehicles. Philadelphia, Daniel Outlaw would say, now you might break a nail or your nail polish if you have to go back there. We're not doing that. They don't have ATVs, I was told by our police sources, and they use drones to challenges. Apparently, the Philadelphia police, that's futuristic. We can't be doing that.
So I thought of spike strips aren't going to work for dirt bikes, ATVs. They can go up on sidewalks and get away.
Right.
I thought of an idea the other day I want to propose to you, and hopefully it gets to some police officers. Send up a drone, have a professional drone pilot, follow, see where they're going. They pull up to a Sunoco, say in the Northeast, let's say right there on Delaware Avenue. I think at Castor and Avenue, there's a Sunoco, standalone Sunoco. And they go to these standalone gas stations. That's where they'll all kind of swarm to fill up, and then they'll go on from there. Follow the drone to one of these gas stations, and then quickly take, I don't know if it's fishing line or a wire, and somehow wrap it around the entire place. So I just dropped this. But that way, acting similar to the spike strips, you have a wire there that if they try to drive through it, their bikes or they will be stopped by a wire sitting right there. So, they can't get past it and drive away. Is that not an easy solution for them to do? And then essentially literally round up the, dirt bikes, ATVs, then issue tickets, seize the vehicles and take them away?
Sure. I've actually witnessed Philadelphia police when they had protesters walking down at Broad and Christian Catherine. I think it was protesting a convention when it was last in town, Dan, and they were moving fencing along with them. They were going to fence them in.
Okay.
So they have the idea, and they probably have better technology now to do something simpler than that in what you're talking about. Yeah, and they won't get everyone. It's a numbers game. Bring them in, throw the book at them, sweat them to give up others, crush their bikes. They have to fill up for gas. And you're right. And they seem to have favorite spots to go. If there's 100 of them there, surround them. If you get 50, it's a big haul.
I sit here talking about this on halfway through what you were saying. I got incredibly discouraged because I'm like, yeah, we talk about this good policing that we could do.
Right.
The hell does it matter when you have Krasner who's just going to let them loose anyway and let them keep continuing?
Well, if you take the bikes away, at least, though, if you get the bikes, if you take away enough bikes, they're not that well heeled that they can keep on replacing their own bike. Heck, we had Reading, it takes the bikes and crushes them in the center square.
Social media, yeah.
Yeah, not just a ticket. They take a bike away and they crush it. I mean, we got casinos over there. I could tell the mayor that'd be quite an act. I can get people out there to see them crush 100. Comedian Joe Conklin or Rich Zioli telling jokes and then crush the bikes.
Wait, I actually have that in the archives.
Oh, there we go.
I want to see more of this. More of this, please.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good. Oh, yes. I love it.
Now, how are they able to?
They need to sell live tickets to the event.
Yeah.
I think our listeners would go out and see this live, right?
Well, I think you could be coached. If you want to use the crusher, I'd love to use the crusher. I paid $50 to use it.
I love this. Oh, good. One more time. Oh, just we're crushing now. Oh, one more. Oh, that's great. They should do that and send them back to the owners.
Oh, man, you got to love that. That's a pretty good crusher.
25 South 9th Security Chip Building. Please call me out.
I want to see where he drops it. Oh, come on. No fun. All right, guys. Well, that's all we got for KRASNERLAND today. But don't miss us at Mulligan's tomorrow. If you're anywhere near the shore, come down to Wildwood. Come see us. Dom's going to be broadcasting live. I'll be there. And we'll be joined by Louis Capelli at 1. Dom, you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. It'd be great stuff. 310 West Hildreth. Great food. Johnny's a great host, a listener. And, of course, I'm sure I'll have a special drink or two tomorrow.
And I may or may not be imbibing in that special drink. We will see.
Okay, I will. I know that. That's part of the deal.
Until next week, Dom, we'll pray that things are much safer and it's much harder to prepare for. But until then, we will see you next time. See you tomorrow at noon with Dom time. Adios, everyone.